Today we're going to start talking about a new topic, civility and personal ethics. I'd like to get started by looking at a quote. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. I like this quote because it really demonstrates how our internal state of being eventually impacts everyone and everything around us. So today we're going to be talking about this idea of civility according to Forney. We'll also look at some information related to ethical communication and some steps that you can take in order to make the best possible decision when faced with an ethical dilemma. So why would the university require everyone to take a class on communication and public speaking? Shouldn't we all know how to communicate by this point in our lives? What is the difference between the ability to talk and the ability to communicate? Well, in my mind, talking is noise. True communication allows us to connect with others, and it allows us to develop and maintain relationships with the people and the things around us. So if you think about the readings that you completed in your Forney book, Choosing Civility, Forney begins by talking about how life is relational. We're constantly in relationship with the people and the things around us. Even though you're unaware of it, your body is communicating with the chair that you're sitting in. They have a relationship with one another. Now, that might sound a little bit crazy, but just hang with me. The shape and the material of the chair communicates its structure, and your body is conforming to that structure of the chair. So what happens if you don't acknowledge what the chair is trying to say? What would happen if you tried to treat your chair like a really big, comfy couch? Well, most likely, you wouldn't be very comfortable. You might even fall out of the chair if you tried to lay on it like a couch. You might be a little bit embarrassed, and you might even get hurt. Our relationships with people are kind of the same way. If we don't acknowledge the messages that we're receiving from others, chances are someone's going to be a little embarrassed. It might feel really awkward, and someone may even get hurt. Chances are that relationship simply isn't going to work. And so we're constantly in relationship with the people and the things in our environment, even if it's a very passive relationship, such as the one between your backside and your chair. So as humans, we all have this basic need to connect, and this is where civility fits in. Civility gives us the opportunity to connect successfully with others. Now, we all have a need to connect with others. That's something that's biological. As humans, we have a need to connect. But that ability to connect successfully is something that we learn over time and through a lot of practice. So again, that need to connect is biological, but that ability to connect successfully is something that we learn. So that's where civility fits in. Again, Forney would say that civility allows us to connect successfully with others. Now, chances are, if you've been in a social setting and you look across the room and you notice someone who's really attractive, most likely you're not going to say, "Oh, wow, he has really hot manners." But if that person that you're attracted to ends up having terrible manners on your first date, the odds of having a second date are pretty slim. So civility does matter. Let's talk a little bit about what we mean by civility. It's easy to automatically connect civility with manners, but it actually goes way beyond that. Civility begins with an awareness that there are people and things around us, and that our actions impact them. And then, along with that awareness, we build in this idea of empathy, this ability to think about how others feel or maybe feel in a similar situation. Empathy isn't enough, though. in the moment, we have to make an active choice about how we want to behave or communicate. I like the way Forney puts it. According to Forney, to be civil means to be constantly aware of others, while weaving restraint, respect, and consideration into the very fabric of this awareness. Now, on your way to class today, most likely you either held the door open for someone or had a door held open for you. Why? You might be thinking, well, it's the right thing to do. That means, I have good manners. That's how I was raised. And that's fine. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. In that moment, when you're walking through the door, you've got to be aware that there might be people around you or behind you. You've got to have empathy for what it would be like to have a door shut in your face. And then you actively choose how you're going to respond in that moment based on that information. And so civility operates on a daily basis in our moment-by-moment actions. And again, all action, all behavior is communication. Now, when it comes to rules of civility, Forney has his 25 rules. You have your own set of rules, whether they're written down or not. And what we see is that across time, every culture, every society or social group has some set of rules to guide the communication and the interaction of its members. And so sometimes you'll find rules in books on manners, religious texts, and so on. Even animal groups have rules related to who eats first, who hunts, who takes care of offspring, and so on. And so I want you to take a second and think about where your rules come from. Most of us will start out by developing rules based on the outside world. If you think about Kohlberg's stages of moral development, we'll choose to act in a certain way to avoid punishment. But then as we grow and mature, hopefully we choose to act ethically and act civilly because it's simply the right thing to do, because we've decided that's how we want to behave. Overall, though, our rules can often be organized by basic constructs such as gender, age, your culture or religion, even how much money you have or your socioeconomic status. So let's talk about some examples related to rules that would fall under these different constructs. Can you think of any rules related to gender, your gender? Everything from what you choose to wear on a daily basis to the way you communicate, and even something as simple as what bathroom you go to is based on your gender. Now again, gender and culture often closely intersect. So gender rules will vary from culture to culture. But if we think about stereotypical Western culture, we have rules such as men usually pay when we go out to dinner. Women tend to take small children to the bathroom. And in my family of origin, men take out the trash. Maybe that rule applies to your family and doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. But still, there are often several rules related to gender. We have lots of rules and laws related to age in our culture. You have to be 16 to drive, 18 to vote and purchase cigarettes or tobacco products. You have to be 21 to purchase alcohol, and so on. So we have lots of huge markers in our culture related to age. When it comes to rules related to our culture, you can think about everything again from dress. How you dress tends to be influenced by your culture. What you eat is strongly influenced by your culture. What did you have for breakfast? I had oatmeal, very stereotypical Western thing for breakfast. Some of you maybe had sushi, I don't know. But again, what we consider to be appropriate for various meals is very much tied to our culture or ethnicity. Our religion also impacts choices such as dress, food that we eat, how we practice a spiritual belief, where, what time of the week, how often during the week do you practice that spiritual tradition. All of those things are rules or choices that are impacted by religion, that construct. Now, One set of rules that we tend to not like to talk about are rules related to socioeconomic status or how much money we have. Believe it or not, how much money you have impacts how you're treated and impacts your choices in the world. Everything from where you will shop, the kind of car that you will drive, how you're treated when you walk into certain stores, what schools you would even consider going to. All of this is impacted by socioeconomic status. Even access to certain types of support, either financial or medical support, is impacted by your socioeconomic status. There are rules related to that. Now, our rules can be formal or informal, written or unwritten, and they can be internal or external. Your rules for yourself versus actual written laws of the land. Now, the interesting thing is that sometimes the informal rules can have a greater impact on our behavior versus the actual written rules. So, for example, how many of you have broken the speed limit lately? Occasionally, I do too. But that's a written rule. Even though it's a written rule, there are signs posted, we still choose to break that speed limit. But have any of you decided to dress in a way that is actually opposite to your gender? Probably not. I don't think that's written down anywhere, but yet we don't see a lot of men running around in skirts. So again, sometimes those unwritten rules can have more impact versus the actual laws of the land. Now, our rules can be healthy or unhealthy. They can either support growth and change, or they can inhibit growth and change. And that applies specifically to our family groups and our close relationships. So we're going to stop there for the first part of this video. There are 2 other parts that you will need to watch. And of course, make sure you're taking good notes. But as you go through the rest of your day today, pay attention to your rules of civility. Why do you choose to open doors? Why do you choose to smile or wave at people when you pass them on the sidewalk? That will give you some clues as to your rules of civility.